Good morning and welcome back to Sarah's Country Cottage. And here I am outside our back door with our little brass owl. Let's go inside and I'm going to show you our boot room. And this is it, our tiny little boot room. So it's the back of the house, which faces north-northwest. So we're surrounded by the most enormous trees. As I take this down, looking out the window, you can get a scale of how actually tall these trees, beautiful trees, are. So it's very early in the morning. We've just suddenly got a bit of sunshine, which you can see through the window on our little gates. The end of our little foxglove there. So it's a dark room, so I've put the overhead light on just to try and show you what I've been doing. Now, I did do a before video, but that in itself is about 30 odd minutes long and probably quite boring. Let me know if you want to see it. So it's a series of videos that goes through how it was before and then the process and what I do to create this panelling, because I do it all myself. I'm very much an amateur, and so I look for the simplest ways to do things. And for me, for decorating a room, because I do love the look of panelling and the lovely old wallpaper. So this is what I did in our bedroom. And you can see our bedroom on previous videos. But this type of simple panelling, which is actually just batons that I've cut and glued to the wall. So there's no nails involved. I would love to change these light switches, of course, and the plug sockets. It'd be lovely to have old-fashioned brass ones. But that would be an awful lot more money, and electric is not what I can do. So for now, I will make do. So the whole room used to be this dark colour, which is like a dark damson. It's by Farrow and Ball and it's called Brinjal. And the whole room was covered in this. And the reason is that it's a room full of, like in the corner there, you can see there's pipes. And there's quite a bit of that. If I turn the camera around, you can see in this corner as well that they've got pipes boxed in. In fact, some of the pipes weren't completely boxed in, and I've had to get a piece of wood for this section here, and I've put on some hinges and then fastened it to the wood that was already existing to cover the pipes. And so this dark colour does hide, I think, a multitude of sins. But then it really was dark, and I do love the effect of panelling, and I love wallpaper. And this wallpaper is by Sandberg. I love it. I love that pale sagey green and the pale gold of the dandelion flower. And it's just a beautiful, simple design. And I just thought, because I've had this wallpaper for over a year, I got it for our bathroom. And then I thought, I think it'd look nice down here in our boot room. I just had one roll and I didn't have enough. So I did order another one recently, and we've been able to go around the entire room. To make it easy for me, I've done the panelling quite high up. So basically, it's not panelling at all. It's just these batons glued onto the wall with no nails, or no more nails, I think it's called. I just cut them to the lengths I need, and I just glue them onto the wall. And then I've got the batons cut to go down to create the panelling. I can probably show you better from this side. So for this side of the wall, with nothing on, we keep this clear. And then up above, we've got this shelf. And this is where we hang our coats. But for the purpose of this video, I've removed them. I've also removed Robert's hat. We keep our garden hats on the back of the door. And I've removed Robert's because it's not quite as pretty as mine. Mine's quite nice, actually. Let me show you. Beautiful roses. So that's my garden hat to keep the sun off me. So this door, in fact the two doors, I've painted in number 4 by Farrow and Ball. I think it's called Old White. And then the trim is done in number 3, which is Off-White. Now they could be the other way around, but the trim is number 3 and the door is number 4 by Farrow and Ball. And this damson is called Brinjal by Farrow and Ball. And as I said, the wallpaper is Sandberg. And the name? I'll put the name in the description below. You think you call it dandelion, but it's not. So the furniture that we have in here is all lovely golden oak. So we've got this shelf here with things on top that I've had for many, many years, including this little trio from Laura Ashley many years ago. Does anybody remember that design? And these little pots are what I've decoupaged years ago. Little rusty cans that I decoupaged, and even some little pots that I decoupaged. And then the prints. Am I holding this still enough? I do apologise. Now these, let's have a look. Is Kate Greenaway. Kate Greenaway was an illustrator from the Victorian era, but she was preferred to draw the Regency period, as you can see from these costumes. I have a third one, turn round, on this wall. That's really sweet. So, this, with the silver chimney thing, is our boiler, but it's also my little potting shed. I don't have a potting shed. We have a little shed outside, and it's filled with all the tools that we use in the garden. But I love antique garden paraphernalia, like these lovely old sieves, and this lovely old spade handle that's been turned into a dipper, and lovely old shears, and then this little spirit level and the brass and beautiful wood belonged to my granddad Joe, as did this little wooden tool here. I love this little old trug filled with terracotta pots and string. And then in front I've got my hogbend jugs. My bulbs are underneath, and old pots. This is another pot that I've decoupaged, so many years ago. And even here down here are some of my tools that I don't use. I think they're too nice. And then on the wall is this lovely old terracotta wall mount. that probably would have been made for in the garden, maybe to have with an ivy coming out or a small little plant. But I don't want to risk it with our winters. We can have some very cold frosts, so I keep it here with just a couple balls of string and my dibber for the garden. And then here is my little shelf by Emma Bridgewater, Moments of Joy. And this picture above, well, my dad and I made that between us. So when I was a little girl, or probably an early teenager, we were out one day. My mum saw this picture she wanted. And I can't remember the story entirely. I think it was quite expensive, a bit chippy, a bit old. And my dad said, I think it was very rough, and my dad said, we could make that. So we went home and I painted the picture and my dad made the frame. So this was made by my dad and me. So this corner is my little potting shed. So I found this green fabric and I've made a little curtain to go around there. And then on this old oak cupboard that we call Nell, a dear, dear friend who's no longer with us gave me this cupboard. She was a wonderful, wonderful lady, a very kind friend. And so we affectionately call this cupboard Nell, as we always think of her fondly. And we know what we're talking about. We know which cupboard we're talking about if we say Nell. Oh, where's those scissors? Oh, they're in Nell's middle drawer, we'll say. And we know exactly where to go. On top, I've used scraps of the green fabric to make some little runners to protect Nell. A little square one there. And then I've used the same fabric above to make a little curtain. So hopefully it makes it feel. Let me stand over here. Oh, I'm just tripping over my shoes. And then you can get a look of this corner. So again, I've made the little curtains above in the same fabric that I got from a fence shop in Skipton. The original fence shop I went to has closed down, unfortunately, which was a beautiful big kind of mill type shop. They did all sorts of beautiful chintzes and lovely fabrics, and that's no longer there. But there was another fabric shop by the castle and the church, and I just saw this green one and thought, well, this is a nice neutral. So we've got a washing machine behind this curtain, and I just thought the sagey green went with the sage green of the dandelion. So here on the wall, I've got my blue Asiatic wear by Burley, as is the other pieces. And then these old shelves here, again in a lovely golden oak, is Mason. And Mason made this for Crabtree and Evelyn, sorry. And then below I have some more Mason. And this design is what we had as children. I think this is called Regency. So I got these from my parents, and it's what we grew up with in our old family home and what we used every day. And I use them every day, me and Robert. It's what we use. I just thought let's have a little bit in here. Because actually, I've got a lot more of this collection to come. My son is coming home at the weekend, and he lives in Leamington Spa. And he's coming up to spend the weekend with us. And he was in a charity shop in Leamington Spa a few months ago and saw lots of this china, the Mason's china, for £40. Piles of it. And so he bought it. And hopefully he's bringing that up with him this weekend. So we're looking forward to seeing Joe, my son Joe, who I named after my granddad Joe, whose tools are in the corner. And we're going to have a lovely time. My parents, all my three wonderful parents are going to come for lunch and join us on Sunday. And we'll have a lovely family weekend catching up with Joe. So again, Crabtree and Evelyn in this little egg coop on the windowsill. You can see their old preserve jars. I must have had these preserve jars a good 20 years. Yeah, they must be about 20 years old. So I wouldn't recommend eating them. I bet they'd be all right. But I kept them because I just love. Can I get in a bit? Now just bear with me while I switch hands and see if I can get in a little bit closer. How about that? I just loved the labels. And in the kitchen, on the kitchen shelves, I've got an old marmalade one of theirs. And I kept them because they're just so pretty. On top of the egg coop, you can see my string, my big string. And I love birds' nests and old terracotta pots. And then also on the windowsill, I've got more of the burley-ware, the blue Asiatic. Then more burley-ware here. I've just been knocking this as I lean over. So there you go. I hope you like it. I do think it makes the room feel a lot more cosy, especially with the little curtain above and the wallpaper. It's not quite as dark as it was, and it just makes it feel very cosy cottage and gives the room some character, and it makes it feel very pleasant in here now. And I can't wait to bring in my pumpkins for the autumn and fall. And then I guess really I need to do a full house tour, don't I? And show you our cottage for autumn. So I hope you've enjoyed this video, and I'll try and put in a few photos at the end of what it was like before and during. And if you could give it a thumbs up, that's great. All the messages I love reading, and and I like to respond to them. I do appreciate all your kind messages. And let me know what you think. I hope you like it. It's a bit different to the rest of the house. Upstairs especially is all the pale pinks, and our living room is very chintzy. But I like lots of different things, all very old, all very old-fashioned, but I love the look of a potting shed. So hopefully you like it too. So thank you for watching, and I will see you again next week. Goodbye.